Thanks, JP. Great to be here. Thank you for having me. So, WebRTC in video time. Let's make something cool. Hi, I'm Marco Vidonis. I'm a developer based in Leeds, UK. I work for Nimble Aid Limited. We're a WebRTC consultancy. And we're also the team behind Evercast Labs Limited. We're the maker of Broadcast Bridge, which is an online tool to bring high-quality remote streams into a professional AV workflow. You can find me at Marco Vidonis on social media. And you will also find me at the Montevideo Tech Summer Camp later this February. I'll be there working on the summer project. There will be a longer school project, but I'll be there also for the hackathon. And I'll be working on the WebRTC project. So why do we talk about WebRTC? So we all know it, we all use it. We're using it right now. Whenever we're on a video call on the web, we're using WebRTC. One of the main features is that it provides sub-second latency. So that's what you need really to have a proper conversation over the web. It offers built-in security and encryption. And it's available on 2 billion devices out of the box because it simply runs on browsers. So anything that has a browser basically is able to talk WebRTC. And actually, the fact that it runs on all major browsers is quite a big deal. It means that potentially any user can just join a call just by clicking a link and open a browser. And it also means that as developers, we don't necessarily need to develop and maintain an app for every device and all OSs. And for the user perspective, they don't necessarily need to download the app just to join a meeting once. It also means that we can provide a great user experience for everyone by building web apps with cool technologies like, or cool things like progressive enhancements and PWAs. And all this makes it very easy for users to jump on a WebRTC call. Even though WebRTC can sometimes be a bit frustrating for developers, as Dan Jenkins explained in his talk at Emacs earlier, a few months ago. Okay, so WebRTC is great, but why would we need it for video tech? So the traditional broadcasting industry usually is a one-way delivery, has fairly long latency, 10 to 30 seconds, and usually includes minimal interaction. But the broadcasting industry is changing. There's more and more streaming, more interactions are required. Everyone's consuming media on their smartphone. And WebRTC can offer a lot to the industry. As we said, you can readily reach a huge number of devices. You don't necessarily need to develop an app for it if you don't want to. And there's a constantly growing ecosystem of hardware that supports WebRTC out of the box through the WIP and web protocols that are being standardized. So this means that you can have, for example, webcams that are WIP enabled, and they can share a stream directly to a media server on the cloud just through WIP. So they will just send a WebRTC stream directly with no further work from your side. So that's quite powerful. But what I would like to focus on today is sub-second latency. So when do we need sub-second latency? Well, basically, whenever you want to have an interaction between audience, participants, speakers, whenever you want to have like a normal conversation, you will need sub-second latency. But let's say you might also be organizing a huge event, like a sporting event, with a whole professional AV system. But you might want to have live contribution from the audience, maybe like a fan cam. Someone in the audience can just, take out their smartphone and start sharing the screen of their point of view, how they're experiencing the event. And you need that to be real time because you want, to get the real feel of the event, how it's being experienced by the audience, even though maybe you will just blend it with the professional video and broadcast it traditionally with a slower latency. You will still need that live contribution to be real time with sub-second latency. So in general, there's a huge growth in this space, right? For us as developers, there's a real chance to make something new, create something that could be useful and quite cool. And this is the idea where we started from, thinking about what are we going to do to make at the summer camp as a WebRTC project. So the idea is to build a web platform for hybrid events. And this will be built specifically for hybrid events, with hybrid events in mind. So, first thing someone will say is we run events on Zoom and it's fine. We're actually having one right now. And it is fine. The thing is that existing tools that are normally used today are meeting platforms, and remote and hybrid events for them is just an afterthought. So we thought, why not make something that has this kind of events in mind from the get-go, so we can solve the specific needs of this kind of events. So if you think about hybrid events, what sets them apart from a regular business meeting, for example? So you will have one or more speakers. They may be in person or remote. You will have an in-person audience, but you also have a remote audience. And they all have a different way of experiencing the event, very different needs. And we need to cater to both of them at the same time, because we don't want to have someone feeling like they're the second-class citizen in the call. They're being left out just because they're not present in the room, for example. So we want to offer everyone the best experience, whether they're in person or remote. And to do this, we need to promote live interaction between every participant, basically, whether it's presenter, audience, whether they're in person or remote. And to do that, so for example, if someone in the audience wants to ask a question, if the speaker is in person and the person is there as well, they can just raise their hand and ask a question. If the person is in the remote audience, they might be promoted briefly as a speaker and ask the question that way, sharing their video and audio. Or something that is done very often in events now is to have a chat where everyone joins, whether they're in person or remote, and they will have a discussion during the talk, and they can also ask questions there. So if there's a moderator in the chat, they can select the questions and then relay them to the speaker for answers. I sometimes find this personally a bit confusing if you want to follow the chat to ask questions and at the same time follow the talk. So an additional feature that might be useful in this kind of events is maybe a simple question box where you don't necessarily need to follow the whole chat. You just type your question and it will be sent to a moderator for then selecting and asking later. So that could be an additional thing that very simple that is not, I don't see very often, but would be useful. Or you will have emoji reactions, for example, so people can react while the speaker is giving their talk. And another feature that is quite useful for events in general is the ability to then share this with a wider audience with a live streaming platform like YouTube, for example. So these are things that we'd like to keep in mind when we're actually setting out to build a hybrid event platform. So what's the idea for the project then? So we like to create a community laboratory for hybrid and remote events. So this means that everyone in the community, everyone who wants to support the project and join the summer camp, whether remotely or in person or during the hackathon, they can bring their ideas, their experiences, and contribute ideally with their code or just with their feedback, for example, of what would work, what are the things that the perfect hybrid event platform needs. What can we try out, and maybe we can find some new solutions for things that are not there yet because they haven't been thought or tried yet. So community laboratory that will be built on WebRTC, and we can benefit from the experience of event organizer at summer camp, but even people from the community in general. Anyone who's maybe been an organizer or a speaker or even just an attendee in this kind of events. Everyone has had their own experience of these events and what they need from them, what the pain points maybe were, some features that were missing. And with all this feedback, then we can set out to actually building some of these things. So it will be an open source project. The whole scope will be roughly 1 month during February this year. This would be the time that we hope will be enough to have an MVP, like a main structure of the base of the project that will work, and then could be built upon during over time. During this month, there will also be the hackathon at the summer camp. It will last 1 week, so it will be a chance for people who want to join and interact, and maybe don't have 1 month to commit to the project. They can just maybe support with a smaller feature, something that is a bit quicker to build, and it could be done over a week at the hackathon. But also, just as importantly, this will be a learning experience. So whether it's the first time you're working with WebRTC, or maybe you've been working on it for years, we want this to be a chance for everyone to learn something new, work on something they haven't touched yet before, and share their knowledge as well. So just a learning experience for everyone who's involved in the project. So we're thinking of basing it on React and Node. We'll be using maybe Janus and some other tools that we might see fit. So we'll basically decide as we go along, but this is the core technologies that we think will be based on. And as an MVP, what we'd like to have is well, a landing page with the current and next events that will be taking place, an API to create, read, update, and delete events, and some basic features like a stage for presenters, chat and Q&A session, as we talked about, some video and audio controls, and perhaps the possibility to record the event as well. But this is just the main structure of what a hybrid platform would need basically to function. But the whole project, and perhaps specifically the hackathon, would be your chance to shape the project, to contribute with your ideas, your feedback, your code, and add those features that you think are really needed to make a great hybrid and remote event platform. And we've got some ideas, some things that might work and we might like to see in this kind of tool. So for example, live caption and transcript to increase the accessibility of the event is quite important. I would like to see this included from the get-go if possible. Background music, why not? So it's not usually easy to do this with existing meeting platforms, because you don't really want background music at a business meeting, right? But you do want it at an event. If you might want some music before the event starts, or if you're taking any breaks, or after the last talk, it makes sense. It makes it improves the atmosphere a little bit, and it makes a hybrid event feel more like an in-person event. You would probably have background music anyway, and it could be quite a simple addition. It could be as simple as just adding an audio stream to a video room. Very simple, but very effective as well. Just a simple video overlays. You could show, for example, speaker names, the title of their talk, or you could maybe have a stream of live comments and emoji reactions to the talk. Something that could be quite simple to build as well. But again, would really increase the production quality of the event, make it feel very professional, and make it look very good, and also add useful information as well. Or perhaps you might be a small event organizer, a small meetup, and you don't have a large team, you don't have a lot of gear. So you might benefit from a feature to just generate a link to send to a smartphone and turn it into a connected webcam, basically, for streaming. So with just some things, if you have like a laptop and a smartphone, you can turn a small meetup into a hybrid event with live streaming, and this could be quite useful, just to increase possibilities for everyone who's just starting to create some meetups. We talked about attendee participation, so a simple thing could be we talked about the chat for questions and interaction. If the audience is in person, they don't really need to join the platform and see the live video as well. You just need the chat. So you could just, it would be a good addition to have a separate platform just for the chat. So people can just, ask questions, be involved, but at the same time, they're in their room and they can see the speakers live at the same time. And why not something fun as well? You could maybe want to create some effects like video hats or funny hats, voice synthesizers, something that you think might be, funny and a cool addition to the project. And why not? If you think you can make it, you're welcome. You're very welcome to join. And finally, when you sometimes join a video call and not everyone's there yet, so everyone's just staring at their webcam and their mic is mute and it's just awkward and everyone's just waiting for something to happen. That doesn't happen in live events, right? So people will mingle, they will talk, they will get to know each other. And well, it would be great if there was a tool that would allow to do that between remote speakers, for example, and in-person speakers or with the in-person audience. Something like some ice-breaking games, for example, something that, will in a way try to break the barrier between a remote event and a live event and make everything just more enjoyable. So something that promotes engagement and networking in general, and especially at the start of the event. Well, so these are just some ideas that came to our mind just brainstorming. Some things that we think might be good additions to and good challenges during the hackathon as well, but every new idea is welcome. So everyone who thinks they had something they can contribute with to the project is welcome and will work very well. So who's excited? I am. Well, so if you want to build the best hybrid events platform, if you want to contribute to open source, and if you want to learn some WebRTC while doing it as well, you know what to do. Join us at Montevideo next summer camp. Thank you.